Hi guys and welcome back. So today we'll be starting a new chapter, that is biological classification. One of the most striking things about planet Earth is the huge amount of biodiversity. Now what is the meaning of the word biodiversity? We know that bios stands for life and diversity stands for the amount of variety present. So the Earth is home to a huge variety of different kinds of living organisms. But to study them would be such a tedious job, right? So to simplify things and to learn about these different kinds of organisms in an organized manner, we try to attempt something called as biological classification. That is, classification of all the living entities, that is bioforms. This is biological classification. So in today's chapter, we are going to learn about a host of different criteria used by different scientists over centuries to classify organisms. Then we are going to learn about the current system in use, and also we are going to look into little more detail about one of the initial types of classes under biological classification. So without further ado, let's start. So going on to the first page of our notes. So biological classification. We have learnt about the various taxonomic categories during our discussion in the previous chapter, right? So what are the highest taxonomic categories? The highest one, my friends, is kingdoms. And currently we study a 5-kingdom classification given by quick revision, R.H. Whitaker. The 5-kingdom classification given by R.H. Whitaker is the currently used one. Okay. So before this, various attempts were made to classify living organisms. So let's have a look on these different classification systems and learn in detail about the 5-kingdom classification which is currently in use given by R.H. Whitaker. Okay. So quickly moving on to page 2. So the first or the earliest attempt was made by Aristotle. Aristotle classified organisms on the basis of morphological characters. What is the meaning of morphological characters? External appearances. These are morphological characters. Now he divided them into two classes, plants and animals. Plants were further divided into shrubs, herbs and trees, and animals on the other hand were further divided depending upon the presence and the absence of red blood. Okay. For example, lower animals do not have red blood, so they were categorized into a different category, and animals with red blood were categorized into a different category. Okay. So this was a very vague classification given by Aristotle, okay, dividing them into plants and animals. Later came Linnaeus. Abhi Linnaeus ने क्या किया? Linnaeus gave the 2-kingdom classification. He gave the term kingdom and said that there are 2 kingdoms. कौन से? Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia, which is very similar to what Aristotle had to say. But this could not give clear criteria to classify all the organisms into these 2 kingdoms. There were a few organisms which neither had all the properties of Kingdom Plantae, neither did they have all the characteristics of Animalia. Now there was a confusion कि ये animals को कौन सी category में डालें. So that is why we realized that there is a need for more kingdoms or more kinds of categories in which we could put these organisms. So that is when R.H. Whitaker in 1969 gave the 5-kingdom classification. Okay, the 5-kingdom classification. Now to divide all the organisms into 5 kingdoms, what were the criteria that he used? He used these basic criteria, and guys, you must know these. Okay, what are these 5 criteria? First is cell structure. That means whether the cell is a eukaryote or a prokaryote, and further details about the cell structure. Second is thallus organization. Thallus organization here means bodily organization. That is, उसके organism के body में कौन से level का organization है. Whether it is a cell based organism or it is a tissue level organization है उसके अंदर, या फिर there are organs या फिर organ system level organization like in us. Okay, so depending upon this, he classified them depending upon thallus organization. The third is mode of nutrition. Mode of nutrition यानी क्या कि whether the organism is autotrophic like plants यानी खुद का खाना बना सकता है, whether they are heterotrophic that is dependent on other sources. In heterotrophic also there is a vast range like saprophytic or carnivorous animals etc. Depending upon all this he classified organisms. Okay, the mode of nutrition. Next was reproduction. What kind of reproduction do they use? Do they use vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction? Then lastly, phylogenetic relationships, which means evolutionary connections or heredity connections. So depending upon these, he tried to understand that which organisms were evolved from which organisms, and this way he gave a branching descent kind of pattern of the different classes. Okay, so what are the 5 criteria? Quick revision. First is cell structure. Second is thallus organization, that is bodily organization. Third is the mode of nutrition. Fourth is the ways of reproduction, and fifth is phylogenetic relationships. Okay. So going on to the next subtopic. Here is a beautiful very complex diagram flowchart which tells us all about the 5 kingdom classification given by Whittaker. So let's get into the details. Guys, so these are all 5 kingdoms, namely Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Do not worry because all these kingdoms will be taken in detail in the coming videos. Okay, so the first one, which is Monera, has 2 subtypes again. It has Archaebacterium and it has Eubacteria. In short, Monera is the kingdom which hosts bacteria. Okay. Next is Protista. Protista in short or simple words are unicellular organisms that do not belong to either of the other categories. Okay. Protista is a very varied kingdom, and it has a different kind of classes like dinoflagellates, slime molds, euglenoids, diatoms and protozoans. Okay. The next come fungi. Like the name suggests, it hosts all the fungus animals. Okay. These are Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, Deuteromycetes and Phycomycetes. Next is kingdom Plantae, that is the classification of all the plants. We have pteridophytes, bryophytes, the simplest form, that is algae, angiosperms and gymnosperms. Angiosperms is a flowering plants. Okay. Finally, the most complex and the most interesting is Animalia. So Animalia has a host of different phylums and divisions. We have Cnidaria, Porifera, Platyhelminths, Ctenophoras, Aschelminthes, Annelids, Arthropods, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and finally Chordata, that is animals with a chord or notochord or a vertebral column in which we belong. So this might seem very complex and very overwhelming, but do not worry. We are going to learn about this slowly in the coming videos. Okay. We will have it all simplified for you guys. Okay. So don't worry. So going on to the first kingdom, that is kingdom Monera or the prokaryotes. Like I told you, kingdom Monera is home to all the bacteria, and all the bacteria we know are prokaryotic cells. Okay. The members are bacteria, and what are the characteristic features? These are all the characteristic features we will talk about in prokaryotic cells. जैसे कि first is the cell wall, which is made up of peptidoglycan. Second is the cell membrane. Cell membrane is made up of lipoprotein. Third is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm में there is certain specific characters. Like for example, there is no membrane bound organelles. ठीक है, prokaryotes में membrane bound organelle नहीं होता है. फिर we have indistinctive nucleus. इसका क्या मतलब है कि न्यूक्लियस के अराउंड देर इज नो सेल मेम्ब्रेन. ठीक है, देर इज नो सेल मेम्ब्रेन, देर इज जस्ट बेयर न्यूक्लियस. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज इनडिस्टिंक्टिव न्यूक्लियस. ओके. देन वी हैव 70s राइबोसोम. द 70s राइबोसोम. और यूकैरियोट्स में कौन सा होता है? 80s. राइट. सो वी डोंट हैव 2 more things, that is the nuclear membrane and the nucleolus. ठीक है, जैसे कि यूकैरियोटिक सेल्स में द सेल इज सराउंडेड बाय अ न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन, वी डोंट हैव दैट, एंड इट ऑल्सो हैज़ अ न्यूक्लियोलस we don't have that either. So this is an indistinctive nucleus. Okay. So going further, let's look at eubacteria. Okay. So what are the different types of eubacteria? Depending upon the shape they are classified. ठीक है. The first type is cocci. Cocci means spherical bacteria. So इसका example is Staphylococcus and another variety called Streptococcus. तो जिसकी भी end में coccus ये शब्द आता है, those belong to the category cocci. ठीक है. The next is comma-shaped cells. Now these comma-shaped cells are something like this, and a very classic example of this is Vibrio cholerae. Okay. The next type is spirillum or spiral shaped. Like the name says, spirillum. These are spiral shaped. What is the best example? Treponema. You can very easily see that the shape of the cell is like a spiral and it does have flagellum for motility. Okay. The next in line are bacilli. Bacilli or rod shaped eubacteria. अब ये rod shaped eubacteria का best example is Escherichia coli, which inhabitates our gut or our normal intestine flora. Okay. So these, can you see, this small spore is present at, towards the end of the rod, that makes the rod a little bulky towards the end. Okay. So what are the these 4 types of cells? We have the cocci, examples Staphylococcus and Streptococcus, right? So going on further, we have comma shape, that is Vibrio cholerae, then spirillum, which is spiral shape, example Treponema, then the rod shaped bacillus, जिसका example है Escherichia coli. So going further, let's look at the next page of our notes. Going on to the basic structure of the eubacterial cell. अभी कोई भी सेल है तो पहली चीज़ हमें बैक्टीरिया के बारे में सोच के क्या याद आती है? इट्स सेल वॉल. स्पेसिफिकली क्विक रिविजन, पेप्टिडोग्लाइकन सेल वॉल. पेप्टिडोग्लाइकन सेल वॉल. ठीक है, आई एम राइटिंग पेप्जी, पेप्टिडोग्लाइकन. सो फर्स्ट थिंग वी रिमेंबर इज द सेल वॉल. अभी सेल वॉल के बाहर कोई चीज़ हो सकती है और उसके अंदर कोई चीज़ हो सकती है. सो उसके बाहर कैप्सूल नाम की एक चीज़ होती है. ठीक है. Remember, capsule is not present in all bacteria. Only some encapsulated bacteria have a capsule. ठीक है. So एक cell wall है, उसके बाहर this capsule layer is there. This layer, my friends, is the capsule layer. Okay. अभी capsule layer के अंदर cell wall और cell wall के अंदर क्या होगा? Obviously, our cytoplasmic membrane or plasma membrane. It is this blue membrane. Okay. This blue membrane that you can see is the cytoplasmic membrane. Now the cytoplasmic membrane has some involutions in that. This is known as mesosome. It is a very primitive respiratory organ which functions like the modern mitochondria. So this structure which is made by the folding of the plasma membrane is called as mesosome and is responsible for respiration in eubacteria. Okay. Now attached to the cell wall, there are a few structures. Example, flagellum. Now you can see the flagellum arises from the cell wall and is a long structure which helps in motility. Another structure which arises a little superficially here are the pili. Now what do the pili help in? Do you think they will help in motility? No. Pili help in conjugation, which is a type of DNA horizontal transfer. And a second function is attachment. Pili help the bacteria attach to certain surface. For example, in our gut, like bacteria like Shigella etc., they can attach to the gut lining with the help of this structure pili. Okay, it helps in their pathogenicity, that is the ability to cause a disease. Okay. And finally, when you look inside the cell, the one thing we are going to see is incipient nucleus and cell organelles without any kind of cell membrane. So this, my friends, is the incipient nucleus. Okay. So these 3 structures, that is the cytoplasmic membrane, the capsule and the cell wall, these are the 3 guarding the cytoplasm from outside and they together form the cell envelope. Okay, clear? So quick revision. बाहर से अंदर क्या है? Okay, from outside to inside let's go. First and foremost बाहर है capsule. Capsule के just अंदर we have cell wall and cell wall के just अंदर we have cytoplasmic membrane. अभी सेल वॉल से क्या क्या चीज़ें निकलेंगी? फर्स्ट इज फ्लैजिलम फॉर मोटिलिटी, सेकेंड इज पाइलाई विच हेल्प्स इन आइदर कॉन्जुगेशन और अटैचमेंट. ठीक है, ये तो हो गया भाई सेल वॉल से निकलने वाली चीज़. अभी साइटोप्लाज्मिक मेम्ब्रेन की इन्वोल्यूशन से क्या बनता है? वी गेट मीजोसोम. मीजोसोम हेल्प्स इन रेस्पिरेशन, देयरफॉर फंक्शंस लाइक यूकैरियोटिक माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया. ठीक है, अब ये हो गए बाहर के स्ट्रक्चर्स. अभी इसके अंदर इंट्रासाइटोप्लाज्मिक स्ट्रक्चर्स क्या है? फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट इज इंसिपिएंट न्यूक्लियस which does not have which two things? Incipient nucleus does not have nuclear membrane and nucleolus. ठीक है, न्यूक्लियोलस नहीं है और न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन नहीं है. ठीक है, दैट्स वाई इंसिपिएंट न्यूक्लियस. एंड इट हैज सेल ऑर्गेनल्स विच डू नॉट हैव आउटर कवरिंग्स. ओके, कूल. So going on to the next topic, that is nutrition in bacteria. That is, how do these bacteria obtain nutrition or energy food sources? Okay, so nutrition in bacteria. So bacteria can be either saprophytic, parasitic, heterotrophic. These are categories of heterotrophic nutrition, or they could be autotrophic, or they could be symbiotic. Okay. So let's first look at a gross chart before going on to the details of saprophytic and parasitic bacteria. Here. So this is a huge chart that describes the different classifications of nutrition. Nutrition in bacteria. So first and foremost we'll talk about autotrophs. Now what is the meaning of autotrophs? Auto यानी खुद का and trophs यानी nutrition. So autotrophs can make their own food. What are the two types of autotrophs? We have photoautotrophs. Photo यानी light. Light से खुद का खाना बनाने वाले photoautotrophs. Use light energy for food synthesis. Best example is cyanobacteria, the blue-green algae. Okay. The next type of autotroph is chemoautotroph. Chemo यानी chemicals and autotrophs यानी खुद का खाना. So chemicals से जो खुद का खाना बनाते हैं using chemical energy, those are chemoautotrophs. The examples are Nitrosomonas and Nitrococcus. These bacteria basically either oxidate or reduce nitrogen, and this chemical reaction releases that energy which they use for their nutrition. Okay. The next are heterotrophs. Heterotrophs यानी कहीं और से, hetero यानी कहीं और जगह से न्यूट्रिशन ऑब्टेन करने वाले. इसके दो मेन क्राइटेरिया हैं, एक तो सैप्रोट्रॉफ्स और पैरासाइट्स. सैप्रोट्रॉफ का क्या मतलब है? विच डिराइव देयर फूड फ्रॉम डेड एंड डिकेइंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स. सो इसके भी दो टाइप्स हैं. दे कुड आइदर बी फुल टाइम सैप्रोफाइट्स. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दीज बैक्टीरिया कैन ओनली ग्रो इफ देयर इज डेड एंड डिकेइंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स. such bacteria are called as obligate saprotrophs. Okay, what is the best example? Bacillus vulgaris. ठीक है, I like to remember it as vulgaris or bad. So it grows only on bad stuff. So it is an obligate saprophytic bacteria. Okay, the next example is facultative parasite. अभी facultative का क्या मतलब है? कभी कभी. कभी कभी मतलब कभी कभी parasitic behavior शो करता है. मतलब यूजली तो वो सैप्रोफिट है, बट जब उसके पास कोई डेड और डिकिंग मैटर अवेलेबल नहीं है, इट बिकम्स अ पैरासाइट. कभी कभी पैरासाइट. सो दीज एग्जाम्पल इज स्यूडोमोनास. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज द पैरासिटिक टाइप. अभी सेम कैटेगरीज होंगे पैरासिटिक में, बट पैरासिटिक का मतलब क्या है? इट डिराइव्स इट्स फूड फ्रॉम अ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म. means it is dependent on another living organism called the host for its food. It does not eat it or harm it, just derives its nutrition from it. So what are the two types of parasites? We have obligate यानी कि compulsory parasite, यानी उसको हमेशा एक host लगेगा ही अपना nutrition derive करने के लिए. Example is Mycobacterium leprae. ठीक है, it is a obligate parasite. ठीक है. द सेकेंड इज फैकल्टेटिव सैप्रोट्रॉफिक. इसका क्या मतलब है, यानी कभी कभी सैप्रोट्रॉफिक, यानी कि वो हमेशा तो पैरासाइट की खोज में रहेगा, पर अगर उसको पैरासाइट मिला ही नहीं तो वो डेड और डिकिंग मैटर से भी काम चला लेगा. सो दिस इज फैकल्टेटिव सैप्रोट्रॉफिक. ठीक है. व्हाट इज द बेस्ट एग्जांपल? माइकोबैक्टीरियम ट्यूबरक्यूलोसिस. अब ये क्या कॉज करता है? टीबी. ओके. सो रिमेंबर, टीबी है तो एक पैरासाइट, पर अगर उसको अच्छा खासा पैरासाइट नहीं मिला तो इट विल गो फॉर डेड एंड डिकेइंग मैटर. कभी कभी फैकल्टेटिव सैप्रोट्रॉफिक. ओके. गोइंग ऑन नेक्स्ट टू द लास्ट कैटेगरी, दैट इज सिम्बायोटिक. अभी मुझे बताओ व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ सिम्बायोसिस. सिम्बायोसिस यानी when two organisms live together in harmony by helping each other in some way. Okay. What is the best example of symbiosis? Rhizobium. These form symbiotic relationship with other organisms. अभी rhizobium forms symbiotic relationships with higher plants, specifically leguminous plants. अभी leguminous plants में क्या आता है? Soybean, all these beans, etc. Okay, these leguminous plants have a high N2 requirement. ठीक है. Because of its nitrogen requirement, they require bacteria to help them fix nitrogen in their roots. That is why it allows rhizobium bacteria to stay in its roots in the form of root nodules, and in turn they give nutrition to the bacteria. So bacteria इसको nitrogen देता है और plant इसको nutrition और shelter देता है. So that is a very classic example of symbiotic relationship. ठीक है. So let's go back to this page that we had left. Heterotrophic nutrition के दो types, that is saprophytic and parasitic. अभी obligate हमने देख लिया कि obligate यानी कि वो हमेशा ही saprophytic या फिर हमेशा ही dead और decaying matter पे जाएगा. Only from dead and decaying matter it will take its nutrition. And facultative parasite यानी कभी कभी parasite. In the absence of dead and decaying matter, it becomes a parasite. Okay. Now going on to the second category, that is parasitic, and it depends on another living host for its nutrition. Obligate यानी definitely host लगने वाला है. Example, Mycobacterium leprae, right? It always remains a parasite. और facultative saprophyte यानी कभी कभी saprophyte, यानी हमेशा तो parasite है, पर अगर पैरासाइट उसको होस्ट नहीं मिला तो इट विल गो फॉर डेड एंड डिकेइंग मैटर. दैट इज एन एब्सेंस ऑफ होस्ट बिकम सैप्रोफिटिक. इसका एग्जांपल कौन है? माइकोबैक्टीरियम ट्यूबरक्यूलोसिस. वाओ, यू गाइस हैव एन अमेजिंग मेमोरी. सो हमने अभी तक क्या कंप्लीट किया? वी हैव सीन द बेसिक्स ऑफ किंगडम मोनेरा. ठीक है. वी हैव लर्नड अप टू which are the different criterias in which we divide them depending upon the nutrition. In the next class, we'll learn about reproduction behavior in Monera, and we'll go on to learn about kingdom Protista. Okay, bye.